To the phones we go as we continue this Friday with D.C. Councilman and Metro Board Chairman Jack Evans. Line 2, Natalie in Northeast, you're on the air. Go ahead, please, Natalie.
Hi. First, I'd like to say congratulations to Councilmember Jack Evans for his new position.
Thank you.
And I would like to ask Jack, what is the plan to do something about this random violence that we now see on the subway? It's very disconcerting.
Thank you. Thank you. Great question, too, and it's something that's on everyone's mind. Is it safe for me to ride the subway system in light of the violence we're seeing as of yesterday, where we had a number of individuals, students attack an individual down at Gallery Place, and what are we going to do about this? And one thing, I'm on a meeting with the mayor today at 4:30 and a number of other officials to see what our steps are going to be to address this. Now, one thing that was very disappointing, two of my colleagues, Phil Mendelson and Kenyon McDuffie, voted against increasing penalties for violence on Metro.
This was a proposal.
Yeah, this was a proposal that the mayor and I made at a council meeting 2 days ago, and so I believe we're going to be bringing that up again on Tuesday to see if we can increase the penalties and send a message to people that it is unacceptable for any violence to be taking place in the Metro system. Other ideas I have are maybe we have to station more of our police force, our Metro police force, in the system, on cars, better surveillance, better lighting. People have complained to me constantly about the lighting in the Metro stations, and should we not maybe put in increased voltage in the light bulbs? Whatever the ideas are, but we have to make certain that people feel safe going into the Metro system.
Do you get the feeling from police reports, news reports, what have you, that some of the violence we're seeing is kids harming people for the sport of it? I mean, you know, we don't like robberies, but at least if it's a robbery, you get, okay, someone wants a phone. They're going to take the phone, sell it, or what? Money. I'm going to steal money, take it.
Yeah.
But is some of this just somebody's idea of fun, hurting other people for no reason?
Some of it looks like that, Bruce, and it's very disconcerting if indeed that's what's happening, or is it groups of people on the system bumping into each other, and tempers are so short and people flare up. So it's hard to really gauge. But whatever it is, it's unacceptable, and I believe that there has to be consequences for something like that happening, and we really need to send that message. It's unacceptable to do that in our system.
You'll take a second bite at the apple in terms of getting the council to go along with that?
Yes, I am, yeah.
If Galen in Alexandria is on line 1, we can go back to the phones, and if not, I'll invite those of you who are watching the conversation now. You have a comment or question for D.C. Councilman, Metro Board Chairman Jack Evans, join us at 703-387-1020. Is Galen there?
Yes, hi there.
Welcome. Thanks for calling in, and thank you for your patience.
Oh, no problem. And Councilman Evans, nice to meet you. And I just moved back to the Washington area after being gone for many years, and you know, started riding Metro when it first opened, and so it's nice to come back and see how the system has matured. And I moved to the Potomac Yard area, so I'm using your Metroway system to connect to Metro. And my really had to do with, it's a little more superficial, but it's kind of about the appearance of the cars, bringing things back, refurbishing things, getting the stations back to the way they used to be. And you talked about the lighting for security purposes. I understand that, but you know, this is the best subway system or the best transit system in the world. We love that ambiance, the way that the stations feel, the cars feel. And I noticed they're getting worn, but of course they're heavily used. So what are the plans?
Can we make the Metro in general, the stations, the cars, et cetera, more inviting? And is there a connection between the aesthetics and the choice many people have on a daily basis, whether it's getting to work, getting to school, going out on an evening for social activities? You know, I can drive, I can take Metro, I can walk, I can ride, you know, Uber, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Sure.
Does all that matter?
Oh yeah, and it all matters, particularly the Uber and Lyft and the new forms of transportation. You know, the renting those little cars, you know, the bikes, all of that stuff is having an impact on our ridership without a doubt. But going back to the stations, there's no doubt in my mind we can do a better job in making them more inviting. I mentioned the lighting, and we're looking at advertising in the stations. We're looking at trying to bring some kind of life back to stations that over the time have not withstood the test of time. They've gotten a little dreary, And I just had the opportunity, I know, Bruce, to go to Shanghai and look at their system. And their system, in contrast to ours, it's almost night and day, and yet they were both started in 1976 at the same time. And so I want to look at what did they do to make their system so inviting versus our system, which is less inviting.
Galen, thanks very much for the call, and more of your questions, more of your comments in the moments that follow at our number, 703-387-1020. We still have enough time for you to call in now and ask a question, or perhaps you have a comment for Councilman from Ward 2, Jack Evans. Let's talk about the storm.
Sure.
How did D.C. do? What's the grade? And if you want to talk about the region too, I mean, we're sort of all in this together, we're all linked. What's the grade, and what goes into that grade from your perspective?
I think the region did very well. And I want to start with the caveat. I know there are streets out there that still aren't plowed and neighborhoods that are frustrated, and some even in my own ward, Sheridan, Calorama, they never seem to have gotten there. Over in Logan Circle, North Logan, there were problems. But putting that aside, I think the city did the best job it's done in my time here in the district. I was here for the storm in 79, 96, 2010, and we were ready for this. We were out there. We plowed many of the main streets, got into some of the neighborhoods, and so I give the mayor and her staff really an A on this one, with the caveat that I recognize there are some places we just didn't do as well as we had hoped.
Today is Friday. The federal government has been back open for a couple days now. We had a couple of days there where OPM said you can come in as much as 3 hours late. Today was the first day. Today, Friday, after a storm that began a week ago, was the first day that, I mean, schools are still closed, but from a workplace perspective, and a lot of companies and nonprofits and what have you key off the federal government.
Sure.
Whatever they do is what the others do. This was the first day a week later that we're kind of getting back into full gear, and folks are saying, oh, New York and Philly, they're better than Chicago. These are real cities that know how to handle this stuff. D.C., wimpy, inadequate response. And I think this is a commentary on the region as much as the city.
Yes, exactly.
Your response to any of that?
And just on the regional thing, to give the city a boost, there was a time when Maryland and Virginia used to plow their streets, and the district was ridiculous. You remember back in those days, our idea of clearing snow was waiting for the sun to come out. So we are light years ahead of where we were in 96 in those times. We are as good as Maryland and Virginia, if not better. And I like that. Maryland and Virginia did a good job. But going back to your point, the District of Columbia and this region really are more southern than northern. I lived in Philadelphia. I went to college there. I grew up in northern Pennsylvania. I know we had a lot of snow equipment because it snowed a lot. Sometimes there are times in the district where it doesn't snow at all. And so does it make sense to invest in all of this equipment with only 1 or 2 major storms a year? And that's what it comes back to. We contract out. We do as much as we can to be ready. But we are not Minneapolis, and we are never going to be Minneapolis.
At one point in my neighborhood and then later on my street, there had to have been a dozen dump trucks. I've lived
We've
here.
never seen that before, right?
I've lived, if you include college, I've lived here like 35 years. I've never seen anything like that. And the guy at the liquor store said he had heard that those trucks were costing $200 an hour. I don't know if that's true.
I don't know. Could be.
Have you heard any early guesstimate on what the price tag for all this will end up being? It felt like they were doing things that maybe had never been done, perhaps because we were in a close to unprecedented territory in terms of the challenges of getting not just streets cleared, but then the mounds
getting
of
the snow out of here.
Right,
exactly. Yeah, I think the price tag is going to be high. I'm sure it'll bust our budget on snow. We only budget $7 million a year. But again, it's worth it in the sense that people really wanted to be able to get out, and I think we threw all the resources we had at them to do it. Keep in mind, New York City, their snow budget is $77 million. Ours is $7 million. So it's a different world, and the comparisons really aren't that fair.
In terms of the decision to dismiss tickets that were issued on Friday for parking in a snow emergency, on a snow emergency route, I mean, it's great if you don't have to pay a ticket that you got because that's money still in your pocket.
Right.
Is there a boomerang effect, though, in terms of in the future when the city says, please don't do these things, don't park on a snow emergency, don't walk in the street, all the things, because the city's approach was less we're going to ban travel. It was more communicate with the public, ask for what you want, and assume most people will do the right thing.
Yeah.
Is there an issue next time? Because people will say, oh, I'll park anywhere I want. The mayor will probably forgive everything.
Well, I hope not, and I don't think that's the case. But and I have mixed feelings on that, because a lot of people did take advantage of the situation and parked illegally, but most people didn't. And for those who didn't, how fair is that? But a $250 fine is a lot of money. So, and, I can kind of see both sides of it. And more problematic, though, is not issuing the tickets to people who don't shovel their sidewalks. That is a real pet peeve of mine, because, I'm a jogger. And so I'm jogging down the sidewalk in where I live on P Street, and there are 4 or 5 places that never shoveled their walks, houses. And so I can't get through there. I have to go back out into the street. Those are the people I think we should either ticket or find out why they didn't shovel their walks.
There was an apartment complex, not my neighborhood, but in the next neighborhood over. They never shoveled the sign.
They should be ticketed.
I was stunned.
Yeah.
That an apartment complex wouldn't have a contract with someone who does that. That seems. I mean, an elderly person, someone with physical disabilities, they don't know to call for a volunteer. No teenagers come to the door.
I can go with that.
I get it. But an apartment complex, day after day after day.
$1,000 fine.
Really
That's what I would do, because it's outrageous. Yeah, and it's not fair to the rest of us who go out there and shovel the darn stuff.
Yep. DC Councilman Jack Evans, Democrat from Ward 2, Chairman of the Finance and Revenue Committee, Chairman of the Metro Board. Thank you so much. Great conversation. See you again soon.
I'll be back. Absolutely.
Much more News Talk right after this. Please keep it here.